every step of the way.
Dan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I feel a tad weary standing here this afternoon to talk to this bill, another bill that demonstrates a lack of understanding of the hardship in our communities and is based on an economic vision that seems almost Dickensian to me. This is another bill that seems to be part of this government's drive towards a low-wage economy, this time directly targeting young people. Now, my colleague Holly Walker, as well as David Bennett, Jackie Blue and Paula Bennett have all spoken so eloquently on the real evils of this bill. So today I'd really like just to tell a story of a young woman who lives in Hamilton that I was told recently, because I think it is quite informative and hope everyone in the House listens. So this young woman, Stephanie, she's making a living, or trying to make a living, cleaning. She earns what is soon to be the adult minimum wage of $13.50. Like many other young people, she's underemployed, but she's working really hard to stay off the dole. At present, she works 25 hours a week, and to work these hours, she has to travel from site to site in the evenings to do her cleaning work. She's been trying for a year to get more hours of work or to find a second job, but as everyone knows, in this labour market and without access to a computer, when you're new to a city, that's really hard. So for 25 hours a week at $13.50, she gets $337.50 before tax a week to pay her bills. Out of this, she's been able to pay the rent for her small flat, power, food, and a prepay cell phone. There's little left over to save for emergencies like she faced earlier this year. So after a year of cycling from site to site, good green young woman, her bike broke and it was going to cost her $90 to fix it. This meant that she had to walk from site to site while she saved to fix it. Now, how responsible is this young woman? She's amazing. But, you know, there's consequences to that, two pretty big negative ones. One, that quite often at night, walking, she'd get harassed by men driving past her, which is a pretty scary experience for a young woman in a new city. And secondly, she wore big holes in her shoes, so big that it was not safe to wear those shoes to work. And she knew that if she did, she'd get turned away from her job. Now, does this remind you of Dickens or not? You know, and Stephanie was forced to make a choice. She had to get new shoes so that she could work. And this meant not paying for something. So I'd like to ask everyone in this house, what would you give up to pay for those shoes? And this is a young woman in work who, if this bill went through, her income would be significantly lower than that. Somebody who's having to give up food or paying her power to pay for shoes to get to her job. That is what we are talking about with this bill. And I think the question before this House should be, how can we better support young people to actually be able to live their potential and work and be able to actually have a life as well as that job? If low-wage work lifted people out of unemployment to well-paid jobs, hey, we'd be fine with this. But the evidence shows that it doesn't. And for the member across the House to say that, well, they're better off than on a benefit, so really, hey, that's great, is treating them as if they're charity cases rather than workers. It's saying they should be grateful for a job and take whatever they are going to be given. That is offensive. If this government was serious about addressing youth unemployment, then there are lots of things that it could do. It could reverse the 2010 tax switch, which cost $2 billion in over just 18 months. Could put this money into supporting small and medium-sized enterprises to take on young staff, create jobs, and they could support the members' bill that was just drawn today for Labour about committing to a high-wage economy and supporting young people's employment rights.
Scott Simpson.
Mr Speaker, as this debate draws to a conclusion on the minimum wage start-out wage amendment bill first reading, it's been interesting to sit here in the chamber and listen today to the stark contrast between government speakers and opposition speakers in terms of a glass half full and a glass half empty type of approach. On this side of the House, Mr Speaker,